So before we go into part 2 of the Chad Larrson EVS interview, we're going to go over Ethan Van Sciver's attempt at an EFAB in my first video. But first, this segment is sponsored by Andrew Ramsey, backer number 3400 on the Wrecked Planet campaign, who over 4 years after Wrecked Planet was supposed to have fulfilled, said the product he paid for had not been received. And not only that, but that the 70 refunded honeycomb boxes were available now for sale. Ramsey said he would take the refund. Hopefully, he's gotten his money back. When news came down that Ethan Van Sciver EFAB part 1 of my response to the Chad Larrson interview, I was told he dismantled my arguments, that he bought the receipts. So I went to see for myself, and it didn't quite go that way.
Why does he put this, hey, Lazmat, why are you putting this filter over it that makes it look like film that's been dragged across a dirty floor? Why are you trying to make your videos look like 70s porno? What exactly is this?
Why does his mind automatically go to 70s porno? Wait, what?
I was just about to ask that. It's like, well, it also just would look like old film.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of weird he takes it to 70s porno. Like,
it was the last time he watched straight porn was in the 70s. So
oh, God.
Interesting he didn't say horror movies of the 70s. Or heck, even the early 80s horror movies like Evil Dead or Basket Case. I could go into how polluted Ethan's mind may be, but that will be for another video. Crowdfunding lowered the barrier of entry and changed the game. It has been a net positive. Looks to be two things.
Eric says things the way the Saska sisters also said, praise God, we love Jesus. Eric says what he needs to say in any given moment.
So this is how Ethan tries to prove his point, by convincing you that what was directly said isn't what was meant. This type of trust me bro brainwashing is his most powerful tool. He also presents an anecdotal example, a conversation that occurred between himself and Eric that cannot be verified.
Eric told me, well, actually, he posted a while ago. He said, these guys are just sitting on your money with Crowd. We're not going to sit on your money for 5 years. We're going to actually have our books ready. And I said, that wasn't me, wasn't it, Eric? And he said, no, I just mean, crowdfunding in general, like, makes people wait.
That's true.
And I said to him,
that's a shame. Eric should have directly
we're
said
a real problem because you're going to hurt crowdfunding. And he said, oh, I see what you mean. I said, yeah, you shouldn't be saying things like that. You're gonna hurt Comicsgate. With your big platform, you're gonna hurt Comicsgate. He said, well, I'm not gonna say that.
Michael Shank says,
I'll tell you why Evan assumed that Eric was talking about him. Because the shoe fit. Wait, the shoe fit or the shoe polish? He knew that he was saying was the truth. And he got butt hurt over it. Like the saying goes, the truth hurts.
Once again, he talks about the positives of what crowdfunding has done. The negatives he brings
we gotta watch you draw again while you do this.
Are in regards to individuals. Since you're such a big fan of my work, Ethan.
Lazmat, Road Warrior Drake. This was like such a fun book.
I'll keep doing it. I think your backers would appreciate seeing you drawing more on stream and less of you bitching about Eric July. But what do I know? He also rightfully points out that customers are weary of the crowdfunding model thanks to unfulfilled campaigns. And if you think this isn't true, just look at the comment section of EVS's Rainbow the Brute, James E. Anderson's Conflict Calls Out, among many others.
Oh. Look at his face.
This wasn't the first time July addressed the crowdfunding model. I also noticed you had no words for the comments section of your Rainbow the Brute campaign with back-to-back refund requests and buyer's remorse. There's nothing for me to add here.
So what he's saying is that my model and our approach is a threat to people's publishing because they are late or some of these publishers are not delivering.
It's not that your model is a threat. Your model is no different than anybody else's model. You have a whole lot of money. You spend it. You make books.
Where'd he pause right? He paused right at the time he was talking about late books. Got to get the chat. Got to get everybody's mind off that and try to take a jab at Eric.
Timing.
Let's not look at the 5 year late book with Rainbow the Brute. Unfucking believable.
Books and the books are bad, but I mean, at least they're available right away. It's like Marvel and DC, basically. It's your rhetoric that's a problem. And as you can see, your rhetoric is being echoed by Duckman here.
That's some SJW type shit.
What the fuck? Wait, what?
Your rhetoric, your words are problematic.
So when Ethan says Eric's words are problematic, he runs into a hole in his own argument. As he stated in his anecdotal conversation with Eric, he told him his words indicated a message, that is that crowdfunding is bad, a message Eric did not intend to have. And he confirmed that Eric recognized it could have come across that way. Ethan's own account confirms that Eric was not intending to attack crowdfunding. And here he is further pushing that point by saying Eric's rhetoric is the problem.
And pretending like it isn't a problem. Well, it is true that there are people who don't finish their crowdfunding books. It is true. What he's saying is true. And he's setting himself up as the alternative to that. He means to say, look, I'm better than crowdfunding because of these things that could happen. There are people who are wary of crowdfunding because these tough situations can come. It is possible that somebody will never fulfill their campaign and then they run away with your money. That is possible. It's a possibility, and it makes people wary. And that's why I've set up my business this way.
Wait, what?
So far, it really sounds like I'm kind of correct, Elasmat.
What?
Sounds like you're sort of supporting my perspective and point of view.
This was a bunch of, what's the white trash equivalent of hibbity-jibbity? Let me know in the comments section. Even Ethan echoed what July was saying, that indeed there are creators in crowdfunding who run away with the money. But somehow Ethan twisted that to mean that it is still an attack on crowdfunding itself. Ethan is dead set on hanging to the idea that if Eric July is at war with him, then July is anti-crowdfunding, despite the videos and tweets presented in the video clearly showing that July is not at all opposed to crowdfunding. But there was one receipt that was given to me after my upload of the first part of the Chad Larrson interview. Eric July had a sit-down with Luke Stone, the founder of Fund My Comic.
One of the things that you did, I think you inspired a lot of people not only to get back into comics or even to try it themselves, but you actually inspired this guy here. You know that I'm the founder of Fund My Comic. It's a crowdfunding platform. I saw what you were able to do on your with your own platform, uncancelable, that kind of thing, and we wanted to do something where people maybe didn't have the resources or the financial ability to take those kind of risks. Right, so that even inspired us.
The creator of the newer crowdfund site, Fund My Comic, giving praise to July and even saying that July inspired him to make his own crowdfund site. You would think the owner of a crowdfund site would take offense to July attacking crowdfunding, if July did that. But clearly Luke Stone did not see that. Now let's hear July's response to a question from Luke Stone's chat.
And this was one of my questions as well. Maybe not exactly like this, but I was curious, what made you choose to build your own site rather than do a pre-order through a traditional crowdfunding platform like Indiegogo or Kickstarter that so many other people use?
Well, I couldn't make sense of it. Not for me. That was the look. When I approach business, I analyze. I see what everybody else is doing. I understand what like the industry standards are. So I'm looking at all these new, like obviously with crowdfunding, it lowered the barrier of entry, right? Like for everybody. And, you know, that was an option. And then you obviously have the traditional route that people would utilize in the direct market. So I'm analyzing all of it and I couldn't make sense of any of it. So I figured like, okay, well, I need to do something that's more of a, what makes the most sense for me. And I couldn't justify like utilizing Indiegogo because again, I had the startup money and it's like, am I going to give these people this platform fee if I don't need it? Because you know, if they take 5% of like now in retrospect, yeah, it's easier for me to say, yeah, I made the right decision because whatever 5% of $3.7 million is, I didn't pay that for my servers and all that. I can tell you that much. It didn't cost me that much. Yeah. So it was a worthwhile investment for sure. But that's really what it boiled down to. For me, it just didn't make sense. So I decided to take what I did love about like it's a hybrid, right? Like you see crowdfunding and it has the transparency, and I really always love that. And I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna take that element of it, but treat it like it's more of a pre-order and do it on my own platform, so I don't have to worry about the shenanigans, right? Of other platforms. And I never wanted to deal with that. It would be a nightmare in case if I did deal with that. So I said, let's try to avoid the problems instead of having to deal with them when they get here. So that was why we did it. And again, it made sense for me because I had the investment initially, because I'd saved all that money. So it was like, it's easier for me, and it doesn't make sense for maybe for other people, but I had the hundreds of thousands of dollars to invest in all what I did. So there was no point in me like doing a crowdfund, because I didn't need to do a crowdfund.
So July said a couple of things that really hammer his already clear point home. He said the crowdfunding model didn't work for him, but it made sense if it worked for others. He also said that since he had the money, it wasn't necessary for him to crowdfund. He said all this on a live stream with a gentleman who owns a crowdfund site. There is absolutely zero doubt that Eric July was not attacking crowdfunding. But it's important for Ethan to make you believe that he was.
Look at Lumpy.
Thanks so much, like Rainbow the Brute. Like, these are people complaining. People are complaining all the time about everything. I understand Rainbow the Brute is late. I refund people who ask for refunds. I did one today.
Do you though?
Oh, that reminds me. This segment of the video response to Ethan Van Sciver is brought to you by Sly Fox, who commented that every so often he comes to see how many people are as bitter and disappointed about how EBS has handled this as he is. Also sponsored by Greg Sexton, back at number 338, who is upset about the lack of updates on the campaign page and is now begging God to have his refund. He does give praise to Aaron Lopresti for fulfilling in a timely manner.
It's still using that as a reason. Rainbow the Brute is late, and therefore everybody should kind of go over to do what Eric July is doing. But people can't do what Eric July is doing. People don't have $300,000 to fund their own businesses like Eric July did.
Ethan, that is exactly what Eric July said. He said his model could only work for him because he had the money. He also said he understands that it isn't for everyone. You actually proved Eric July's point here. You defeated your own argument. July had to clarify that his stance is on creators who don't deliver a project, not the model itself. He even...
What? That isn't a point, Matt, you retard.
So Ethan is now resorting to calling me names. This is a tactic the left use when their arguments begin to fall apart.
You guys know that this policy is ass backwards. Plain and simple. You guys know this policy is inhumane. Plain and simple. Like, if you just take yourselves out of it for just a moment, take off the lenses of bigotry for just a moment, and imagine if this was happening into the name calling. Yes, we are.
She made no argument whatsoever, right? She didn't demonstrate anything through logic. She just said, you're a bigot, you're prejudiced, wah, wah, wah. You have bad intentions, I hate your guts, and you're terrible for the country.
And I do recognize that it's like, yeah, like when it comes to the fans, they're really, really happy to be able to get their product a few months, 3-4 months after they paid for it. I wish I could do that. I can't do that. I'm not able to do that.
So apparently it's difficult for EBS to fulfill a campaign in a few months after it has ended. Perhaps it can learn from some of the best in the crowdfund indie circuit. Comic book creators who fulfill within months after the close of a campaign. Creators like Brian Kriskow, who fulfilled his critically acclaimed book, Six Gun Gorilla, months after the campaign closed. And what did Ethan say about Kriskow's Six Gun Gorilla?
Brian Kriskow. I love Brian Kriskow. He's got a comic book called Six Gun Gorilla. He's already got 6 issues out. It's awesome. Brian Kriskow, your book, Six Gun Gorilla, is excellent. Six Gun Gorilla, awesome. Awesome comic book.
Perhaps it would be in EBS's best interest to consult with Brian Kriskow so he could improve his fulfillment skills.
This guy's coming after me. Thank you for making this video, Matt.
Oh my.
You're basically proving that Eric July is directly coming after me without naming my name. This guy is completely and totally at war with me.
But that wasn't what you accused July of saying. You said Eric July attacked crowdfunding. He was criticizing those who abused the crowdfunding model. He said as such in his initial tweet. Here is Ethan, not realizing he did it, proving that was what July was saying. EVS is making it more specific, though, about himself, but he thus confirms that July's point wasn't about the crowdfunding model, but those who abuse it.
But if the consensus is, well, more people are more inclined to support that, then that only benefits them, and I guess it's a model or a variation of it.
This is Eric attacking crowdfunding, Elasmat, you imbecile.
Wait, what?
Hey, hey, listen. It's like eventually people are going to realize that my model is better, and if more people realize that my model of having a whole lot of money is better than actually having to crowdfund, well, I mean, whatever happens, happens.
No, Ethan, that's just
Wait, no, that's just capitalism, bro. Like, what are you, a fucking socialist? He's like, how dare you offer a different model, a different way to do business?
Why are people against capitalism?
I think the ways in which people are able to obtain and succeed in a capitalist society is not the most moral.
Capitalism is the system that keeps this country running. Without capitalism, no one would work, because why work when you can get everything for nothing?
Yeah, people would still work, but there would just be no competition, and no competition means no innovation, and no innovation leads to things getting progressively worse and worse.
Ethan would end the EFAP saying the Eric July videos presented in my video have not motivated him to do another year's worth of Trashcast. I doubt he needed the motivation, but it's unfortunate the inspiration was for him to do more Trashcast live streams and not drawing his books and getting them fulfilled in a timely manner. It looks like Ethan learned the wrong lesson.
Making fun of Eric July is much easier than drawing. Drawing is hard.
But his reaction to my video does open up a case study for those interested in proper communication skills. Ethan's refusal to accept criticism is a science unto itself. Now let's get on to part 2 of my response to Chad Larrson's interview with EVS. Part 2 of my response to Chad Larrson's interview with EVS. In this segment, Ethan goes into the supposed night letter that Eric July sent him. The night letter came after Dick Masterson's appearance on the Yellow Flash stream, where he criticized ISO number 1, not long after Masterson publicly proclaimed he wanted to destroy Eric's business. This is Ethan giving his account to Chad.
And everybody needs to work together. Now, the worst thing that Eric July did, he did 2 things to me. He sent me a text message on my phone, and he said, you know what, I'm tired. The message said, I'm sick and tired of it looking like you're playing middle of the road.
Now let's go back almost 2 years when Ethan reveals the contents of the night letter. Ethan's alt account under all caps comics on Twitter posted the private letter publicly. News got to Eric July while he was live streaming.
I said, I'm going to be 100 with you and not be public with this. So me trying to approach it as, again, a person that I'm cool with and saying that, hey, I'm going to address it with you privately. This person has opted to, Ethan has opted to just go public with it. So he didn't offer me that courtesy because, I saw this as someone that we're cool with. And so he puts it out there in public. Great. This is what I said. I said, you're going out of your way to play middle of the road publicly with a dude that is going out of his way to work overtime to publicly defame is whack, right? It's even weaker that you lay credence to their narrative. I treat you like I do anybody else in this space.
He says, I treat you like I do anybody else in this space. That's weird. I'm Ethan Van Sciver. Perhaps you should be treating me differently than everybody else in this space. I'm somebody who's been doing comics for 30 fucking years.
This clip here is very telling. It apparently insulted Ethan for Eric to put him on a level similar to everyone else. This is most likely what triggered Ethan to make the content of the letter public.
I was nominated for an Eisner. You sitting there telling me that I'm receiving equal treatment to your fans is interesting.
And I do not use my platform to amplify narratives that go against others I'm cool with. Everybody I do shows and streams knows not to bring up any gripes with people I'm cool with, as I will not give it the time of day. I'm going to start reciprocating on that. If you want to chat about it, you're free to call.
To me, I received this as, stop criticizing me in public, or I'm going to Basically, I'm going to unleash influencers who want to go at you. I'm going to tell them they can go ahead and go.
And I'll be completely honest about what this is about, right? So, how I operate, if I'm cool with you, and again, maybe this is a cultural thing. And by the way, this is not me. I haven't threatened anybody here. So if that's what you're showing, that this is a threat, that's interesting. But okay. I'll explain even further for the audience because there's nothing here. Let's say this, if there is someone that I am cool with, I do not go on their platforms or have them on my platforms to air that out. I just don't. That's not how I operate. That's not how I ever have operated. And people know that. Yes, I have people on my stream, right? I have people on my stream that may not be cool with other people that I'm also cool with, okay? So what I don't do is allow them to hash that out. There. I will not allow it. Let's say if someone doesn't like I'm cool with someone and they don't like Jeremy, and Jeremy is on a stream of mine, or excuse me, that person comes on a stream of mine, they don't get to go on my stream. That's not to say that they can't have an opinion and don't like Jeremy. That's fucking, they're free to do that. But what they can't do is come to my stream and start airing that stuff out. I just won't allow that. However, other people don't feel that way. So I, as a man, and we talked about this, Ethan, personally, right? Told you where it is that I am coming from on this.
It was just a threat. It was a nicely, carefully worded threat.
And I thought we were good. I thought we were good on that. But now you're airing out personal DMs, which again, why? Airing out personal DMs as I tried to address you as a man and as someone that I thought we were cool to just tell you, hey man, this is you are acting in the way that I don't act. And that if that's the rules for engagement, that's cool, right? If that's cool. That's all I said. That's cool. If that's the rules for engagement, as I said, I'm going to start reciprocating. That's all that means. If you don't feel that anything that you have done is an error, you have nothing to worry about. Nothing. That's it. Nothing. You have nothing to worry about. And I don't go out of my way to do that. I don't take opportunities to go take shots, and I don't lend credence to people as they take shots at you. I don't do that. However, what the fuck? And now he's in the chat. He says, let's be honest about it. You're trying to, what are you talking about, Ethan? Trying to silence you. What are you talking about? How is this trying to silence? You are a grown man with your own platform. How on earth can I silence you? What are you talking about, homie? The fuck? What are you talking about silence? How am I trying to silence you? It's a personal tip, bro. We supposed to be cool. I can't talk to you in private, clearly, because maybe that obviously to you we weren't cool like that.
Eric July had realized with Tim Lim, John De La Rose, and many before and after him like Dan Fraga would come to learn about Ethan, that there is nothing private that will be shared as content for a super chat ready live stream. Eric really did not realize this about Ethan. Doug Ernst talked about how Ethan wanted to publicize their disagreement over Tim Lim's Donald Trump books during the early days of CG, something Ernst did not want to do.
So it was literally a thing where in the DM room, in the Comicsgate Live or whatever it was called at the time, Comicsgate Green Room, there was a debate about the whole gatekeeper type stuff. We all wanted to handle it within the DM room. And I wasn't the only one there. Weaponized Nerd Rage was there. Yellow Flash was there. I believe that Umbrella guy was there. Pretty much anyone you could think of from those days back in the day. This was all something that everyone wanted to deal with in the actual green room. And it was Ethan who wanted to do it on a live stream, and it would be the very first Comicsgate live stream. And he was like, he literally just said, like, don't talk about this, any of you guys. We're gonna do this in like 3 or 4 days or whatever it would be, and it would be like an explosion of entertainment because all of this would be revealed, and because we're all adults here, we're gonna be able to hash it out on the stream, but the actual stream itself will be exploding with, you know, cool entertainment. The chat will like it and all of this and blah, 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 blah. So he set it up. He knew exactly what we were going to talk about. He knew exactly where everybody stood and he didn't know exactly what we were going to say, but he knew the general gist of our positions. Edwin's here. He says, yes, correct. Ethan wanted to make YouTube fodder out of it. Exactly.
What are you talking about being silenced? And how could you approach me trying to, a guy that I thought I was cool with privately as an issue? And then we talked after this. Did we not talk about it? We talked about it on the phone and it was all good. And now it's all, I'm gonna put his DMs on black. What the fuck? I ain't done nothing to you, bro. What was the point of this?
The point was YouTube content. As Ernst pointed out, the first Comicsgate live stream will be born out of airing disputes publicly at the expense of friendships and business relationships. Now let's get back to Ethan's recollection to Chad Larrson.
You need to be on my side. And if you're not on my side, he's like, I hold people back from attacking you. Okay? So if you're not on my side and if you don't stop appearing to agree with my critics, then I'm going to just step back and unleash them. Okay? And I'm going to tell them they can do whatever they want to you. And that's the way it is.
Ethan's play on words here is why his account of the night letter is disingenuous. He didn't tell Chad that he took offense to Eric treating Ethan as equally as anyone. This brings to mind the pig's own delusions of grandeur as they gain power in George Orwell's Animal Farm. The whole, some animals are more equal than others. Also, as Eric explained, he doesn't allow his friends to speak ill of each other on stream or in public. Eric also thought that by clarifying his stance to Ethan in their phone call, that they came to an understanding. But if you go back to Ethan's original recollection, the thought of Eric putting Ethan, a 30-year comic book veteran, on the same level field with any person Eric deals with really triggered him. But Ethan comes across as a major hypocrite. This is a man with a list of night letters telling people one way or another to choose sides or else. Let us look at some of his more infamous night letters or ultimatums given by Ethan. Panboy War Campaign. In 2020, during the fallout between War Campaign and Comicsgate over the memes by a few over Anna, that Star Wars girl, and her Vampirella cover, including some memes addressing Anna's deceased sister, as well as John Malin and Cecil running to Ethan and telling him that War Campaign was coming for Dan Fraga, Ethan gave Pan a stern warning, in which he stated, "Standing by me isn't letting my inner circle be sniped at by other war campaigners." This is similar to Eric telling Ethan that playing middle of the road with Eric's critics is whack. Ethan goes on to tell Pan, "You want to become what they say you are? Go against me and see how it goes." Pan replied, "Is that a threat, brother?" Ethan felt the same way over many siding with Rob Casey over John Malin's embarrassing public meltdown over a liked tweet. He said,
all I did was just publicly denigrate you and humiliate you in front of people who hate you. I just agreed with your critics that were, really just hate you and stuff. So and it's like John had been retweeting this guy, supporting this guy, all this stuff. It doesn't pay. It really just kind of doesn't pay.
Kelsey Shannon. Kelsey had distanced himself from Ethan after what he saw was mistreatment by Ethan towards Patrick Thomas Parnell of Riot Press Comics and Eric July.
I wrote Kelsey an email like, "Kelsey, I love you. I need you around, man. I need to work with you. I need to laugh with you. I need to joke with you." And this dude said, "I don't like the things you're doing with Patrick Thomas Parnell. I don't like the moves you're making against Eric July. Like any of this shit is my fault." And disappeared. And then he came back a week later and he was just like, "Maybe I'll come on your stream." No, you made your choice, dude. You know, you made your choice. You ally yourself with people who choose to be my enemies.
And let us not forget Paul Revoch.
I wrote to Paul and I said, Paul, in private, I said, Paul, could you not give me any hard times? I really would. Like, I don't want you to become the next guy that is giving me a hard time.
What are your thoughts on this? Was Ethan's account of the night letter to Chad consistent with his initial account years prior? Did Eric July really threaten Ethan? Were Ethan's ultimatums telling others to choose a threat? Leave your comments below, and thank you for watching.